It is 12:59. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzico. We have another detail of the financing plan for a new Titan stadium that has emerged courtesy of Nate Rao of Axios, who reports that lawmakers in Tennessee are expected to consider legislation that would allow Nashville to increase its hotel and motel tax, using that generated revenue to help pay for a potential new stadium. Another quarterback is getting paid. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported this morning the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr have agreed to a 3-year extension worth over $121 million. That ties him in with Vegas through 2025. Carr set to earn over $141 million over the next 4 years, as he is now the longest tenured quarterback in the AFC. The Atlanta Braves in progress right now, a rubber match against the Washington Nationals at home, currently trailing 2-0 as we head to the top of the 6th inning. And the Nashville Sounds back on the road at the Gwinnett Stripers, a Braves affiliate, tonight after dropping a road game last night 4-3 to Gwinnett, going again tonight at 6:05. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. I look outside and I see blue skies, and I know they're not going to be like that this evening. I'm a little bit nervous today, so just know there's going to be an undercurrent of nervousness about the weather. Be weather aware. How about that? For all of you. See,
well, I know you are, man. You're quietly becoming a meteorologist there on social media.
I have to be, so I understand what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. These guys going to have something to deal with the meteorologists here.
I have an old mower. It's a Husqvarna. I can take everything apart,
garage?
put it back together. Yes, in my garage of stuff. And one of my friends joked I'm probably Husqvarna certified by now because I've taught myself how to do so many things with my mower. I'm practically a meteorologist. I'm so worried about the weather. I know about cape and shear and lift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those things.
Yep, Nash Severe, dude. They tell me everything I need to know. I just repeat the things that they say.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to you, man. Between you and Nashville severe weather.
I got you covered. I'm just telling you what they say. I'm regurgitating. Just know that.
I like the rainbow picture, though. You
Astro News, too, last night. It was like, whoa, it looked like a roll of lifesavers, dude.
All those ding-dongs like myself who, that really helps me out a lot.
It went from red to orange to yellow to green right across the state of Tennessee.
So what's the rest of this day supposed to be like?
Our line is supposed to – they keep messing with the time. It was like 11 to 2. Then it was going to be earlier in the day. Now I think it's like 8 o'clock-ish maybe, something like that. 7, 8.
When the rain comes in?
Well, it's going to be more than rain, I think.
Like scattered rain?
Well, no, I don't think
thunderstorm rain? Tornado rain? What are you talking about? Quit teasing me.
I think we are a possibility for all those types of rain that you named tonight. Just hope my son's not. Well, he's not listening now. He's at school. I don't want to scare him.
Oh, man.
There's a possibility of everything tonight.
I'll just tie that right into Derek Carr is making it rain right now with that new contract, man. Woo! Wow, where does that put him on the list? I mean, Lucas, you're a mathematician. Is he in the top 5 or 10? I don't know. What does that extension actually really mean in total amount of dollars? What is he making per year? That makes it easy for me.
So if you look at just the next 3 years, or rather the extension he got, which is 3 years, $121 million, that's about $40 million per year. But over the next 4 years, he's making $141 million, which means he's making just a hair over $35 mil per year.
So that puts him in the top 10. He's not in the top 5 with that number, is he?
It's not Aaron Rodgers' number. It's not Deshaun Watson money.
I may or may not have this information. I may have this information.
Oh, well, what don't you just tell us?
Well, I was letting you two duke it out there.
Duke it out. I wasn't duking out nothing. Lucas was telling me everything, man.
Wheels over here.
So he is, if you just take the total value, which we live in.
Say he's in the top 5, aren't you?
Yep.
No, he's going to say he's 5.
He's 5.
I knew it.
He's $40 million.
Watch this. I'm about to get the mixture. He's not even in the top 4 in his division.
No, he's number 4 probably.
Yeah.
But
how about that?
Money-wise, though.
Yeah, he's ahead of Russell Wilson getting that new deal now.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers
Herbert's on a rookie deal.
The Chargers have a chance to really make some hay over the next couple of years. Herbert is on a rookie deal. That's the dream scenario, that you draft a dude, and in his rookie deal, you become great. because then you can pay everybody else. Aaron Rodgers is number 1. He's 50.2. He's in a league of his own. Oh, guaranteed money. Deshaun Watson is number 2, $46 million. All of it guaranteed. Court cases be damned. Who cares? My man is 46 per year. NBA type money, all guaranteed. He can sleep like a baby at night knowing it's all going to cash. Patrick Mahomes, 45. Josh Allen, 43 and change. That's 4. Derek Carr is number 5. If you played it all out and made all the money, which is how they average these, $40,500,000. Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott each make $40 million per year. There's 7 people with a $40 million per number. That's 7, all QBs.
It's remarkable, but I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Derek Carr, even when the Titans played him a couple years ago. I think they played him 2 or 3 years in a row, one in regular season, one in the playoffs and stuff. I don't feel like he's in that top 5 category. For what it's worth, maybe I'm just not watching enough of him. I feel like he's right. If we did an overall capsule of quarterbacks, I feel like he's in the middle, or somewhere there about right there with Tannehill. I know they're different ages, but
he's 30, I think.
Yeah, so
31.
But just on his ability and what he's done so far, I mean, he hasn't even won a playoff game, has he? Maybe one.
No, I don't think they've won.
It's just hard, man. This money's getting so out there, and everybody's, the quarterbacks are the reason why. I'm not so sure if it's not also more so the pieces around the quarterback, and not just on offense. I'm talking about defense, just the team in general.
Yeah.
And they're getting all the credit, which is somewhat on them. They have the ball the most, but at the same time, it's a team sport. So I think certain players, like, when you go Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes and Allen, I think, okay. But when you're in the middle of the road, I just don't know if you're going to be that difference maker. If you took him off this team and put him on any other team that was a solid team, I feel like he'd just be a middle of the road type quarterback. They'd be an 8-8 or 8 or 9-7 or 10-7, however, with 17 games type player. I don't know, Lucas. Do you see him as an elite, like in that elite category? Now, I know that doesn't always equate to pay, but they gave an extension, and now they put him in the top 5 in the totality of his contract.
Yeah.
I'm interested, like, dang, man, well, your agent is sitting there telling you that, and then you say, okay, sure. I'll be like, nah, the closest I would have got was top 10.
Yeah. I feel like there's an argument for it. I think there's also an argument that he might be the most underrated quarterback in the league. I mean, he's consistently produced year in and year out in Vegas, and he's going to have his best stable he's probably ever had there this coming season.
What has he done in the playoffs? Do you recall?
0 for 2.
Oh, my bad. Has he? Yeah. So guess what? He's just as good as Tannehill. See, that's my whole point. Like, where is he a difference maker? He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but to get to the level of top 5 in pay, it just takes me to a whole. I don't know if he's that.
I think it's consistency, too. At this point, he's had 4 consecutive seasons of over 4,000 passing yards and a career high this past year of 4,800 pass yards, 23 touchdowns. Did have a career high 14 picks.
Mm-hmm. See, what you're doing, you're trying to justify the money by stats, but I justify money by critical game planning and play. And that's why I keep saying Tannehill. He's no different than Tannehill. Tannehill's making 30 million or something? We're 30.
Tannehill's yearly number is 29.5.
Right. See, that's where I put him. Even though he's younger, his play has dictated, not by stats, by winning. It only counts for real when it's in the playoffs. And you haven't gotten this team over the hump, regardless of who was coaching, what have you. I don't see him in that manner. Maybe I'm missing the boat on Derek Carr. I think he's a good player. A real good player. I just don't see top 5 pay.
Do you think you can win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr?
No.
Can we ask this question?
I mean, and wait a minute. Let me context that. If, like how they talk about Tannehill, if the right pieces around him.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I feel about Derek Carr. So I put him in that middle of the road, top 15-ish type quarterback.
I'd be curious to hear from Titans fans. Would you rather have Derek Carr or Ryan Tannehill?
Oh, that's going to be interesting right now with that debate.
I would like to hear.
That's a good one.
Which one would you be? Carr's younger. I'm looking. Carr Has played since 2014. He's made 3 Pro Bowls, none since 2017. He's 0 for 2 in the playoffs. They lost in 2016. They lost to the Bengals last year because, remember, they made the playoffs when the Chargers coach decided to they were both, remember the crazy ending to the season, the Raiders and the Chargers. So the Raiders wound up making it. They lost to the Bengals. He has never led the league in anything except sack percentage.
Hold on to the ball.
In 2016, he led it in sack percentage. It was the lowest sack percentage, 2.8%, which is an obscure stat. And he led
the
it.
West Coast offense is you get rid of the ball quick.
Right.
So
you don't hold on to
your
the ball.
backs and things of that nature.
And he led the league in game-winning drives with 4 his second year in the league. That's the 2 things he's ever led the league in, ever.
So, and then I just believe he's a real good, solid quarterback. Top 5 pay?
Well, it's going to be like what we said about Tannehill going into last season, right? Before we knew all the injuries were going to happen, how much Julio Jones is not going to be available. But Tannehill going into last season had everything around him to win, right? That's going to be the case with Derek Carr going into this year, right? With Devontae Adams, his old college roommate, they broke records together at Fresno State, best receiver in the league. Darren Waller. That crop of receivers, I feel like he's not going to have any excuses this season.
All right, I'm going to put this poll out on Blaine and Mickey. Who would you rather have at quarterback, Derek Carr or Ryan Tannehill? I'm just curious.
Just as they play today. Take out, age and everything else. I would feel like they're in the same category. I don't feel like Derek Carr is clutch. Maybe I'm missing. I don't watch enough of them. Like, to be honest, this is real talk football. I throw stats out the window. When I saw Marcus Mariota, everybody, and when he got in the game for Derek Carr, and I watched this game from beginning to end, and when Derek Carr was out there for literally almost the whole first half, right? Yeah, pretty much. He got hurt right at the end of the first half. Then Marcus Mariota comes into the game, and to be all fair, it's the best I'd ever seen Marcus Mariota play. He looked like the better quarterback. Just seriously. In this game, it was just one game. All right, there's more to, evaluating a player in one game. And I said at the time, because they were saying that Carr was going to be out about 3 weeks for his groin. He's still on the sidelines. He's wrapped up. He comes out at halftime. They got, he's not coming back in the game. Well, he played the next week because of how good Marcus Mariota looked in that game. I'm telling you, he looked like vintage, the best we ever saw Marcus Mariota in that half. And by the way, he threw a pick in that half. Wasn't even his fault. Receiver ran the wrong route or didn't finish the route. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, so and so when I see that, I go, he's a real good quarterback. Because I think Marcus is a real good quarterback, real good backup quarterback. At times he can look like he's a starter and maybe prove that he can be a starter again. And Marcus looked more talented, bigger arm, more agility. Only thing I'd say Carr maybe was doing a little bit better. Maybe he was going through his progression. He's a little better. And that's just being really picky. I thought Marcus did a good job there as well.
He looked like what Titans fans wanted him to look like when he was here.
He did.
Like
I walked away from that.
Back.
Yeah, he looked hungry when he was scrambling and running. He was running people over. I was
runs.
like, somebody then lit a fire under this dude's behind.
Yeah.
So he must have been completely healthy and feeling good. And I was like, wow, man, where was that guy at?
That's fun to watch.
He was hot. He was smiling. He was like, yeah, I'm back, baby.
Well,
old Derek Carr, guess where he was? Right back out there that next week.
Remember
they were saying on TV he is going to miss 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was pretty much guaranteed.
He got
strain growing.
He got Mr. Miyagi though.
He went and watched that video on Monday and said, I don't want no quarterback controversy.
That rascal got well soon. He saw a masseuse maybe.
You know how you keep all controversy at any position?
Yeah.
Keep that person at the side like you play even injured.
Yep. He did. He never, I don't know if he missed another play after that. Like, I feel fine. My groin magically healed. I'm
He
good.
went to Mr. Miyagi.
He did. We don't have Mr. Miyagi coming up next. I wish we did. We got Alex Daugherty, though. He knows way more about the Preds than Mr. Miyagi. Let's talk about this big win last night and this playoff push and all the fighting and everything else the Preds are doing. That's coming up next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Alex Daugherty's going to join us in like 9 or 10 minutes. We'll talk about the Preds' huge win last night, 1-0 in overtime to stay. Dallas won again, so they basically stayed a point ahead of Dallas. If they had lost, they would not be currently in the wild card spot. Really great game by UC Saros. Both goaltenders were unbelievable in that game, and the basically the game-winning goal in overtime, it looked like Johansson had passed it.
They didn't hit off the goalie, though?
To Ekholm, yes. And so nobody knew who scored the goal. But
I thought it was Ekholm.
I thought it was, too. But apparently, I guess it hit a defender. It hit one of the Sharks and then went in front of the goalie. Like, it was one of those things where there's nothing you can do. He was in position.
I'm going to get Lucas. Saying I'm getting so old, and I've really been a proponent for this, and I think they used to do this, but no longer. They need to have it like the puck, like it's a globe or something lit up on the screen so I can see where it goes. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, like on television, like the first down yellow line, first down marker. I am fully in support of this.
Oh, okay, you are. Okay, yeah. I can't follow it. Like, I'm like, dude, where did it go? Oh, okay, he went. It looked like he went over there, and then next you know it's over here, then it gets hit by somebody else. Like, man, if they had that thing lit up like it was, like a light bulb, boy, I'd be all over it. Like, oh, man, look at that. Then they have to slow-mo it for me on the replays, man.
Okay, it is funny that you mentioned this.
Who, me?
Yes. Do you guys remember when Fox made the puck glow during hockey?
Yeah, that's what I said. They used to do it.
Okay.
They didn't like it. People didn't like it. They took it. They stopped doing it.
They hated it. Even though people like us who'd never watched hockey could be like, I can actually see where the puck is.
Yeah.
Right, but hockey purists hated it. This came out within the last couple of days. That's so funny that you mentioned this. The USFL
football
is going to make the ball glow near the goal line. So if there's a pile up, you don't lose the ball. They're going to make the ball glow.
So what? Like you're going to see it through the bodies of players?
I don't know. It says, here's the story, the legal experiment with a football that glows when it reaches the goal line. This is according to Daryl Johnston. Yes, that Daryl Johnston, ex-Dallas Cowboys fullback, who's the executive VP of football ops for the UFL. During game telecast, viewers often can't see the ball under the pile of bodies at the goal line, noted Johnston. An illuminated ball can help. This is something we're hoping to have this season.
Do you like this idea?
I don't hate it.
Lucas?
I mean, it sounds fine, but like, is it going to work when it's a QB sneak on the inch and he just burrows into a pile and there's just a bunch of bodies stacked on top of each other? Is the ball going to
I guess the point is they're trying to see
pile?
it even in replays, right?
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Like, I'm in support of anything that allows us to officiate the game better, especially, but I've never had trouble seeing the football. I don't know.
How about this? With all this new technology, how about have something in the entire football that when it crosses the plane, it gets alert when the pylons get crossed and they can, electronical deal that it crosses, and it lights up, not necessarily the ball, but maybe something that the referees hold or the referee up at the box upstairs. That way it has crossed, so it's in the entirety of the whole football, or maybe it's on the ends of the football, and you can see if it actually crossed based off of some alert from the football that's inside.
They do this in soccer. It's goal line technology.
Oh, do they?
FIFA international tournaments, when the ball crosses the goal line, because the ball has to completely cross, not just partially cross, the referee gets a buzz on his watch because of the goal line technology between the posts.
Okay.
Right. Well, why did you just come up with that? I just had to rack my brain to come up with that.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't do that. Why we can't microchip the football on both ends.
Yes,
listen.
Exactly.
They are.
I've been saying this for years.
They are.
No, they kept saying they're going to put some on the pylon. Well, no.
No, they're microchipping the ball.
In USFL?
Yes.
But
and they're going to use GPS to determine first downs.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to do that. So the glowing football will just help them see it at the goal line.
Oh, well, you didn't give us all that info.
Well, I was trying to. But you guys are talking to each other again.
Oh, my.
They're putting a GPS chip in the football. So instead of just like 2 part-time employees with a chain.
Okay. So I like that idea.
Yes.
I'm all in.
So if you watch Wimbledon or any big tennis match, they have the animated looking thing and it'll show where the ball hits. They have that for the USFL.
Prometheus does point out you still got to know if the player was down before it crossed the plane.
Right, but you can go to replay to look and see where his knee is.
It would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a lot of bodies, it's still going to be an issue, but you can't, put the technology on it. Maybe you start making them wear, some form of a knee sleeve or something on your socks or something.
Maybe. They have a chip in the football and digital imaging.
Oh, I love this, man. That may get me to watch the USFL.
I'm going to watch anyway.
I knew you were going to watch it.
I'm so
But I was
in
trying
on
to figure
this.
out how I was going to make myself sit down and watch it.
They have a chip in the football and
all in.
digital imaging. Here's the thing that people didn't know. The NFL puts a chip in every football. They don't use it for that, though. They only use it for next-gen stats and tracking. They have chips in the football. They could GPS the football. They choose not to. Found that out. Pro Football Talk cracked that egg open for everybody.
Oh, man.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to put them on the early bird ding-dong list for that. Oh, man, they have to take us right there.
They don't use it.
They won controversy. They won a whole bunch of Daniel Snyder's type stuff going on all the time, whether it's the rules, who scored, who didn't, why they lost. It was replay. We don't care. They want the referees to be horrible, too.
This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the ball gets spotted by a part-time guy with a thing attached to a chain.
Oh, man.
No offense to any of those guys who do it, but you could put a GPS chip in the ball and you could know where the ball was supposed to go. Remember there was a play. There was a play last year, Lucas. What game was it? Because I know you'll know. We store a lot of memories with you. You're like a hard drive for us. Or a UT player got a first down by like 2 yards, and they said, no, it was the first down.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss
Because that's
game.
when the mustard bottles and golf balls started being thrown.
Okay. You don't think the SEC could drop a chip in a football?
And none of the even none of the camera angles were good enough to determine whether or not he got the first down on that. The fact that we couldn't even get a camera angle down the line was insane to me.
I have horrible news for Lucas.
You're
Pretty soon, he will be a robot, and it will be doing everything we tell it to do, and has 5 tentacle arms and can do everything in behind the glass all day. And it can't talk back, so it has to have a voice too.
It can't talk.
It's going to be some robotic
Blaine
type
and
deal.
Mickey.
Hey, mark my words.
Robot producers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. You can touch the screen. You can answer phones. You can do all that technology stuff with all those 5, 6 TVs you got in there and screens, computer stuff. Yeah, man.
I'm all for Robot Lucas.
Yeah, Robot Lucas. That's what I want. Yeah, and then if I ask him a math, problem, he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, he just spit it out immediately. Boom, got it."
It would have that over me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're pretty close, but you just a little step behind.
The robot wouldn't have gone to UT though. Anytime we ask him a UT
Jerry Rice
question,
or
he knows the
something, I was
answer.
a step behind.
You covered Jerry Rice. Come on now.
Yeah.
You covered that guy. You covered Tony Gonzalez. You covered all those dudes.
Oh
man.
yeah.
Stop
that. Good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun covering superhuman Tony Gonzalez. That's a superhuman. To be that tall and that fast and that everything.
Yeah.
He's a good college basketball player.
Oh, he was a real good player. I mean, he started.
Yeah, for Cal.
Yeah.
Superhuman.
Yeah.
I'll just switch to football, I guess, and make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it was a robot Blaine out there covering him.
It needed to be a dang robot to keep up with that big rascal.
Yeah. But it was, speaking of robots, there's one thing that has been robotic throughout John Robinson's deal. I know we don't talk about it. I don't think we have Alex yet, but all of his first round picks, I think, haven't been re-signed. I could be wrong, by the Titans that he picked. So that is robotic. So that's telling me philosophically, I think he thinks first round picks are more so, let's make it through their first contract, whether they being super good, they'll get overpriced, not so good, no longer with us, or we don't pick up the 5th-year option, a la, let's say, Dory Jackson, Rashawn Evans.
Corey Davis.
Jack Conklin. And then let's don't even mention Panda.
Yeah.
Who didn't even make it a year, so there's no option to be picking up.
Well, let's hold on to that thought because we're going to get deep into this later in the show. But Buckin Vol, I did say.
Okay, but I'm glad I didn't have to say that because I would have said that too fast. It would sound like something else.
Yep, is on the Mark Spade Real Estate Hotline. I think maybe Buckin Vol has a solution for some football technology. What's going on, BV?
Educate us.
Well, what my preference is, and I wonder why it's not happened yet. We've got goal line cameras at the pylons and everything. Why do we not have a Cyclops out the top of the goalpost? to make sure that a field goal is good or not.
Ooh,
I'm 100% in.
Oh yeah, I'm all in on that. That should have
been.
been done. All that money they got there, that's a easy wheezy. They probably been deciding on which company they want to go with for fighting over.
Maybe
who's
so.
gonna be the cheapest? Who's the best? No, I'm sure they have it, but yeah, that sounds like a no-brainer. Especially depending on where you're sitting at the stadium, and even sometimes the angles on TV, you can actually see. Like, you think, oh, it was good. And then if he's like, no. And then they show the replay right above, where it went over. You're like, oh, that didn't make it.
Well, the fact that two dudes are eyeballing that, again, where you could have some kind of radar or some kind of GPS, that's ridiculous. It's a multi-billion-dollar league. There should be no holes in the technology with a league that makes that much money. It makes so much money Dan Snyder stole for 10 years and nobody caught him till now. They didn't even miss those millions. It's couch cushion money. Skimming the top. Literally, nobody caught him until now when they were dipping through all of his emails.
This is beyond the NFL. This is like a legal issue, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like federal
It's like
he could go to the jury.
That's why I said he's got to be ousted now, man. Yeah, man. If not, man, he's in good with all the big boys. And I'm talking about
Jerry
like
Jones.
Kraft, Jerry Jones. I mean,
Let's cut him some slack.
Yeah, come on, man. He was going through a rough time there.
What?
You cheated all of us out of money, man.
Let's bring in Alex Daugherty, who covers the Preds for A to Z Sports. Alex, you think any National Hockey League owners cooking the books like Dan Snyder? You think somebody like up in Saskatchewan or somewhere is cooking the books up there?
Saskatchewan.
No comment. I cannot review anything.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, wow.
All right, no comment.
I would doubt it. That seems like a once in a lifetime kind of idiot move to me. I don't know who in the world thinks that that's a good idea.
You know, the one thing about the NHL, and you certainly know it better than I do, but here's one thing I've noticed financially. It seems to be the most physically responsible league by far. Like nobody just ever goes rogue and pays somebody $18 million. They don't do that. It's a league that seems to stay within its limits. Does that make sense? Better than any other to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the greatest player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, was traded just to pay some debts. So, yeah, they take their money seriously in the NHL. They always have, I guess.
Yeah, they don't mess around when it comes to money. Huge win last night. Stayed 1 point ahead of Dallas. And what was funny, we got to the end of the game, and it took a while for anybody to even figure out who scored the game winner.
Oh, it was kind of chaos. Just a little inside baseball here. I was tasked with coming up with the 3 stars last night. You know, one media member of every night is tasked with doing that. So last night was my night. And I just was like, all right, I'm just going to go with whoever scores the goal, the game-winning goal as the number 1 star, and UC is going to get the second one. And, I mean, I was like, I couldn't figure it out. I said, Joey, no, it's Ekholm. No, it's Johansson. I don't know. You guys figure it out. So I had to. I was definitely I was confused as anyone. I think that it was Johansson because it went off of the defenseman's skater or defenseman's skate. So, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guess the main thing is it did go in, and they got a win that they desperately needed. Alex Daugherty, our guest at Alex Daugherty1 on Twitter, A to Z Sports.
Well, Alex, I feel like, or do you feel like, let me say this, that they are pressing too much? I know they're going to have a homestand here to finish up, but to make that push to get in the playoffs, and do you believe that they will?
So, I mean, they have a really, really tough last stretch of the schedule here. I mean, it's in the last 9 games, they play 7 teams that are basically going to make the playoffs. I mean, they got Oilers on Thursday. They're going to have to play the Avalanche. They got to play the Wild a couple times. They've got to play the Dallas Stars again. They've got to. I mean, they have a really tough stretch here. They've only got 2 games against teams that aren't in the playoffs. That will be Chicago this Saturday, and then they play Arizona. I think that considering the fact that they've actually played pretty well against some of the top teams, they played really well against Minnesota. They played well against other top teams. They've come away with some pretty big wins. I think that they've got a really good chance. But they need points everywhere they can get them. Even just getting to overtime last night until they got that second point against the Sharks, that was huge, especially because Dallas won. Vegas lost in overtime, or maybe it was a shootout. I can't remember, but that kept them at bay. I think the last I saw, the Predators still have a 90% or plus chance to make the playoffs. So I think that they're going to be there. And, given the fact that they have all of these career seasons by all these guys, I mean, Philip Forsberg, Matthew Shane pushing for 40 goals, Roman Josi pushing for a 100-point season, Tanner Jeannot doing what he's doing, and all of the physical play that the team brings every night, I think that they'll make it. It would be a pretty massive drop-off here at the end if they didn't make it.
Man, was that percentage that high on re-signing Mr. Forsberg?
Is it 90% plus?
Yeah. Is it 90%? Is it going to be that high or no? What do you think is going to happen after the season's over, whenever that ends? What do you think is going to happen with this whole contractual situation?
I think that they sign him. I don't know at what point it gets to. I don't know if he gets all the way to free agency day and then here's the offers and then re-signs. But I just think David Poile has no choice. He has to re-sign this guy. He didn't trade him, obviously. And the core of the team would be significantly different moving forward if they did not have Philip Forsberg. He is such an important part of that offense. Matt Duchene does not have the season he's having this year without Forsberg by his side. Ryan Johansson doesn't have a 22, 23-goal season without Forsberg. Roman Josi's incredible season, tons of his assists are off of Forsberg goals, or at least Forsberg plays. I mean, he is such an integral part. David Poile has no choice but to re-sign him, and this is the important part, he has the money. He's got $25 million or over $20 million to put into re-signing Forsberg and some of the other guys they've got. And that's, part of that is because they traded away Ryan Ellis and that contract. They cut some cap here and there. They traded Victor Arvidsson. He freed up that money so he could make sure to keep Philip Forsberg around. He could be waiting for that final offer that is going to be the one that they want. He could just be holding that out to see if he can, maybe get him for a little less, but I don't think he has any choice. He has to re-sign. You can't have a situation like what happened with the Atlanta Braves and Freddie Freeman, where he just walks and then you have to go find someone to trade for. You can't have that. They've got to keep Philip Forsberg in-house.
Oh, so what's been the issue on how much he should get paid, and what do you think he should get paid? I mean, I'm assuming that's the issue, right?
Yeah, I think I've said
per
many
year.
times. I've said many times before. I think that on an open market, he could get $10 million a year. A lot of people think I'm crazy for that. They think he can get no more than $9 million, and then there's a lot of people that think he's even less than that. To me, I don't see it. I don't understand how people could think that a guy that's 27, that's pushing for 40 goals, could get less than $9 million. In reality, I think it's probably somewhere in between 9 and 10. But like I said, if the Los Angeles Kings go to Philip Forsberg in free agency day and say, we'll give you $10 million a year, David Poile is going to have to give him $10 million a year in order to keep him, because he's going to want to come to Nashville and stay in, he's going to want to stay in Nashville to get that, tax cut on the income tax, as opposed to going to LA and playing with his buddy Victor Arvidsson. So I don't think there's any way they can't re-sign him, but I just think he's going to have to pay money. He's going to have to give him $10 million. He's going to have to give him trade protection, just like he gave Josi and Rene. And to anyone who thinks, there's also been this stuff about, can they pay Forsberg more than Josi? There's no reason they can't. I mean, plenty of defensemen who are incredible at their jobs are not the highest paid player on their team.
Right.
So they're going to have to pay for. You have to pay forwards more. So
no doubt about it. It's always about timing on the contracts. Here, especially even in hockey. But one person whose contract is low right now and is not as up is the goalie, Soros. Man, what do you think about not just his play last night was incredible, but just his overall season, and are any awards you think coming his way, or potentially got a great shot of getting in the conversation?
Well, I think so. Yeah, his season's been amazing. I mean, career high 36 wins already, starting 61 games. I mean, he's probably going to start all 9 of these remaining games. I mean, maybe he'll take 1 game off, maybe 2. 68 games. That's crazy. I mean, like that's so many games for a goalie in this league today to play in. I will say, though, he's dropped off out of the Vezina running. I don't think there's any way he even is a finalist at this point. I mean, I know that Igor Shesterkin, the goalie for New York, he's pretty much a shoo-in at this point. I think it's either him or probably Vasilevsky, just because Tampa always seems to be there. Maybe there's an outside chance if he gets to 40 wins, which he could do. He might be a finalist. I don't think he wins it, though. I think this is not his year to win it. Just too many other good goalies out there putting up incredible performances.
On the way out, Alex Daugherty, our guest, you wrote about this fighting Preds team. Boy, they like to drop the gloves, don't they?
Oh man, it's been amazing. I wrote that today because I really felt like this is a part of this team that no one really maybe saw coming. Let me just give you a couple things. I don't know how much time we got, but let me give you one thing here. The Preds have had 7 fights in their last 4 games. There are 3 teams in the NHL that have had 7 fights all season.
Oh.
The Blue Jackets, the Stars, and there's one other team. The Predators have 55 fighting majors this year. That's the most of any team in the NHL in the last 10 years. It's double the amount of 25 other NHL teams right now. They are fighting everyone in every game, multiple times a game. They do not care. The quote, I'm not going to say the real quote just because we're on the radio, but mess around and find out really fits for this team.
Wow. Alex, people need to go to A to Z Sports. They can read that or just go to your Twitter. They can follow you and find it there at Alex Daugherty 1, of course, A to Z Sports. Thank you, sir, for the time today, and we'll catch up again soon as the Preds keep pushing towards the postseason.
Appreciate it, Alex.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
Yes, sir. Always great catching up with Alex. Also, if you like card collecting, sports cards, he's got a bunch of great content about that, too. That's another thing he's big into. Yes. I found my shoebox full of cards the other night. I might have to hit up Alex for some values there. How much do you guys value Ryan Tannehill versus Derek Carr? We've got a question at Blaine and Mickey, a Twitter poll at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter. Also, a couple of interesting responses to this. We'll share that next. And Brandon in Columbia, Holt, will get to you as well on the phones. It's coming up. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Commodores, huh? Brick House. Clyde Orange, the drummer, sang this one. Not Lionel Richie, who was in the band at this time.
I think I remember hearing that when I was a toddler.
I saw this. The first concert I ever saw was the Commodores, 1978, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
That was your first concert?
Mid-South Coliseum was the Commodores and Zap, which if you've ever heard California Love, the guy who's doing like the voice box is Roger Troutman, who was the main guy in Zap.
Yeah. And we about to zap Lucas, out of here and get a robot since he ain't got that segment together on the music.
Yeah, we're well, he asked me.
I asked him what
he
year
asked
this
me
came out.
what year did this come out?
But you just tested him, getting ready for the big time when we're gonna roll it out as a
I know
segment?
this song and I played this song. I'm gonna guess it's probably wrong. 77.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, look at that here.
Man, I'm on fire.
Boy.
That was your first concert of
Woo!
the Commodores. That's pretty cool.
Man, we're going to have to find a way that the chat line can get involved, social media.
No, it's just so worthless. But look at me know
especially
this.
if Mickey can't get one.
Let's get Brandon.
I know I can't get it.
Well, I don't know if Brandon knows about the Commodores, but he's got a question. We were talking about football technology earlier. Let's welcome Brandon into the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. What's up, Brandon?
What's going on, Brandon?
How's it going? Hope you guys are having a great day.
Oh, yeah,
Always.
it's a beautiful day outside as of right now. So
Yes,
yes,
until
I'm
the
loving
poop
it.
hits the fan later.
I just had one thing. Speaking of the glowing ball, speaking of things that they should have had a long time ago, for those inbounds, out of bounds, where 2 feet down plays, why don't they have a pressure sensitive pad or like a plate that glows on the sidelines for those?
Well, that's like next level where you'd line the whole sidelines with something. I just worry like some knucklehead would be stepping on it all the time, and you'd be like, get back, because you have a get back coach. But people might be triggering that all the time. There should be a shot clock, though, for when the play runs out. Like when the Ravens came here in 2008.
Yeah, and it kept running out, and they wasn't calling delay again.
Because it was so loud. Like, the play should just be dead. Like, the backboard and everything lights up in a basketball game. How we haven't gotten to that, where the play clock lights up, and it just automatically, there's an official upstairs said, play's over, fellas. Nope, not that day. No play's over.
Like there's still leeway, right? It's if the official looks at the clock and sees 0 and then looks at the play
back.
and the ball's not snapped, then he calls it, but it's not right when the clock hits 0.
This was like 2+ seconds that day.
It was
Oh,
bad.
I remember the 2008. Yeah,
I'm still-
Little Lucas was heartbroken about that.
Oh, little Lucas.
So it was
Watch
little
this.
Nicky.
How old were you?
2008, 7th grade. How old are you in 7th
14?
grade?
I mean,
13, 14.
12.
Yeah, 12, 13. We were watching that in an airport coming back from Brazil, and I was shattered.
Oh, you were in Rio de Janeiro, huh?
I was shattered.
Or he was shattered.
I'm sorry you were crying in the airport. That's sad to think of a tiny Lucas crying in an airport,
Yeah,
fresh
that
out
is-
like
that
with
is
his I just went to
absolutely
Brazil and all I got was the stinking t-shirt
Yeah,
that he was wearing back
They
then.
should have some on him to let everybody know when he's crying, too.
We asked this question just because Derek Carr's now a $40 million man, one of 7 in the NFL. And we were kind of talking about his career. Asked this question, who would you rather have at quarterback, Derek Carr or Ryan Tannehill? Carr ran away with like the first 50 votes in this, but we're up well over 100 now. Ryan Tannehill, 59.2%. Derek Carr, 40.8%. It's actually changed a little bit as I'm reading it as we got more votes. Michael says to Blaine and Mickey on Twitter, absolute homer votes going on here. I guess that means he would take Derek Carr. Derek Carr or Ryan Tannehill? Carr's younger.
Yeah.
He's younger.
Well, I was just talking about their play. I think they're somewhat similar at this point in time because of no playoff victories. You could say, hey, Tanny had maybe a little bit better players, or maybe the Raiders do. I don't know all their players. I know they got a really elite tight end. They had some solid receivers. A couple of them got some nice contracts. So I'm not a big Carr. I think he's just a really good player at quarterback. I mean, sometimes he could be a Pro Bowl player, but just like the draft, they're getting overpaid for just quality and consistency on their pay. So, yeah, I get it, but man, 40 mil? Derek Carr?
40.5 mil.
But that's just for the extension, right?
Well, that's if you take up, that's for the extension. It's 3 years, 121 and a half.
So for the next 4 years, it'll be about a little over 35 a year.
Yeah. And Tannehill, for anybody wondering, is 29.5 is what his average yearly value is, 29.5, which that's about right? Yeah.
I would say so. And, timing's everything. So it's a good time. A lot of quarterbacks making a lot of big dough. I think he only had 1 year left on his deal, Lucas.
Derek Carr did, yeah.
Yes. So, that's just a little tad high, but maybe that was that last year they boosted up knowing he wasn't going to be there.
Well, and as you pointed out, that's $40.5 million to be the fourth best quarterback possibly in his division.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
So Lamar Jackson saying my turn.
What
know.
is Lamar Jackson worth then?
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of my questions to Jordan Dajani there. Because, they're not even talking to him, and he's not, like, talking to them. I mean, like, he's his own agent, or, I don't know if his mom is still involved, but he doesn't have an agent. So we can't use that as an excuse. I heard a clip from Harbaugh, the head coach there, that he was like, we're going to just put it in God's hands, and we're just going to play this thing out. I was like, you went there?
I love the Lord, but I would probably be asking for my raise.
Right. And
I just give some to the church.
Well, maybe, right. Well, I'm listening, and I'm thinking Lamar's thinking, well, since I'm my own agent, I mean, if they're not reaching out to me, they tell me how much they really value me, and maybe because of my style of play. Mm-hmm. And maybe, just maybe, this is just how some of the elite athletes think. Maybe it's best that I don't stay here because I'm still always going to get pigeonholed into this style of offense. I must prove I can play in a wide open offense where I can throw it around. Because, and whether I'm running or not, this offense is kind of structured around my skill sets and only that, and I can do more from my arm standpoint instead of just running the football and the running game as a premise of their offense. That could be his thought process. But they could keep him not only this year, but also they could franchise him a year later, which would be a big number. But, he's got an MVP under his belt. You can say, he hadn't been healthy last year. Well, when it's your quarterback, I think you always give him somewhat passes. Is his style dangerous? I don't really believe the way he plays. Nobody really gets big hits on him. He's kind of a Tyreek Hill level style of quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't see him get hit like big hit, man. We can say, he hurt his ankle. When he hurt his ankle, I bet he was in the pocket. I don't know if he was or not, but so that one there is kind of that's an odd one. And as long as they wait, the number is getting bigger. Like, seriously, Derek Carr is worth $40 million. What the heck is Lamar Jackson?
We're going to find out soon enough.
It's like the level, it's a gap.
Yeah.
It's like Pro Bowler consistency to, when you're done to, this guy's a Hall of Famer. This dude just was elite. It's just that kind of a gap.
We got to have a quick gap here between now and the next hour of the show. Jordan Dajani's going to join us. We can ask him that question, and we will. Also, Uncle Blaine did a little draft history looking today, and he came up with some interesting facts. That's normally my job, but our director of content he's got something interesting for you.
Lucas is.
Come on back.
It is 2:04. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzika. Nate Rao of Axios reporting another detail of the financing plan for a new potential Titan stadium. Rao reporting lawmakers are expected to consider legislation that would allow Nashville to increase its hotel and motel tax, using that generated revenue to help pay for the new stadium. Speaking of getting paid, another quarterback is getting paid. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported this morning the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr have agreed to a 3-year extension worth over $121 million. That'll tie him in with the Raiders through 2025. So over the next 4 years, Carr set to earn over $141 million. Rubber match between the Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals currently in progress. Braves trail 3-1 at the top of the ninth at home as they look to win the series after winning yesterday 16-4. The Memphis Grizzlies have their opponent in the NBA playoffs as the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Clippers 109-104 yesterday. So that series between T-Wolves and Grizz will start this weekend. More NBA play-in action happening tonight. It's the Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks facing off at 6, and the Spurs and Pelicans going at 8:30. Bit of college football news. Former USC and Georgia quarterback JT Daniels has his next transfer destination. It is West Virginia, where he will play for the Mountaineers. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing on this Wednesday? So lots of talk today about different things. Alex Daugherty joined us to talk to Preds. Got into some football technology, the USFL with maybe a glowing football and GPS in the ball and all that kind of stuff.
Puck too, yeah.
But then we got this going on. So Blaine walks in. He just like he's got a pencil behind his ear and his protractor, and he's got his glasses on. He's just been in the lab, just football lab. And you came in and you said you had this revelation driving into work today, and you started looking at some drafts because you've been asking, what's John Robinson's draft philosophy?
For the first round pick.
For the first round pick. What is it? And maybe you feel like you're kind of narrowing in on something, it sounds like.
Well, it's just interesting. I don't know if I'm really narrowing in because every year it's its own draft and has its strengths and weaknesses. But what I can say, once they've gotten drafted by the Titans, the history tells you they don't stay with the Titans throughout their entirety. If not, their career after their contract is up, they're on another team. And maybe that is kind of his philosophy. Maybe they get overpriced, they play really well, or they end up being bust or just not very good, or finishing up kind of like Rashaan Evans and Adoree Jackson, where they, really didn't get the 5th-year option eventually, right? With Adoree Jackson, you gave it to him, you took it away.
Right.
So we can go, I think the list has who else on there as first-round picks with John Robinson.
John Robinson. The last player taken by what was the previous admin, Rustin Webster? Is that right? The last player taken by them was Marcus. So the next year, 2016, Jack Conklin did not get his 5th-year option picked up. He moved on. 2017, Corey and Adoree, they had 2. They didn't pick up Corey's. Of course, he signed for bigger money with the Jets. Adoree Jackson, as you pointed out, that was the last year you had the ability to pick up a 5th-year option and still cut a guy, and they did. They picked up his option, and then they cut him loose. Rashaan Evans, the latest, they didn't pick up his option. He is now in Atlanta. Isaiah Wilson's already gone.
Yeah,
the name that shall not be spoken. He didn't make it past 1 year. So who's still in play? Big Jeff. They have yet to pick up his 5th-year option.
Which they haven't done. Which I would assume they would or give him a new contract, but I don't want to make assumption based off of this history and this pattern under John Robinson that they don't re-sign guys that they've drafted in the first round for whatever reason, good or bad. So it's just like, man, I'm wondering if this is going to change, and Big Jeff will be that guy because of his just special ability that he has, and he's he's once in a lifetime type player, man, really at the defensive tackle position, which I think is highly valuable because you're the closest guy to the quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes because what made me start thinking about this, we're always talking about A.J. Brown's contract But, man, they got to pick up the fifth-year option of Big Jeff or even do his contract sooner than later, in my opinion. That'd be something I'd always be hinting around to ownership, Amy and crew, about that we're going to have to, give out some big dough to these two guys, and it could be at the top of the market based off of what's going on now. May not happen now, but whether it's going to happen before the season or immediately after the season, you got time, especially with Big Jeff. But, A.J. Brown, I don't think you want to be in the conversation. I mean, man, he's going to get up there. You wait after season, he's going to be over $25 million. He may be close to 30 by then because he's going to be healthy enough to have an incredible Pro Bowl type season.
You had said before the season about Big Jeff, the next evolution for him was you needed to see him rush the passer better.
Yeah.
He rushed the passer better.
And in a couple, games, he was just unstoppable at rushing the passer. I mean, really getting like 3 sacks before half.
Yep.
I was like, wow, I had never seen a D tackle do something like that in all my years of watching NFL and playing. I don't even know. Did Javon Curse ever get 3 sacks and a half? Ooh, that's a man. I don't know. We're talking about outside, with more speed, but nowhere near Jeff's big power is, and this is on a whole nother level. So yeah, that was something new. And then for everybody in the world to see when they played the Rams on National Booby, for everybody to see that this guy's the real deal was really great.
I was trying to find this tweet earlier from Spot Track.
It's very rare that somebody has 3 sacks by half. I mean, we had it done to us. Even did Chandler Jones get those? Did he get 3 sacks before half? I know he got 5 in total that game. Correct?
I'm pretty sure he had 3 at halftime.
3 at halftime?
Yeah, then he didn't get another one for weeks.
Right,
that
he
just took
finished
all of
with
his
10.
steam out of him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that sustained him for a while.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen very often. Man, you going down the beaten path with our fast intern there. How many NFL players or even last season had 3 sacks and a half? I don't think Aaron Donald has done that. At least I mean, I'm not watching all the Rams game, but I don't recall because I think that would have been a big deal just because it's him. And it means he wasn't dominating, but man, whew.
I'm looking at Spot Track now. 2022 NFL extensions. I think this is right. No, this is not what I'm looking for. It's the highest paid defensive player per year. Of the guys who've gotten deals this year, Max Crosby is number one. His is $23.5 million. DeForest Buckner, defensive. Max Crosby, no doubt. Mac Attack, 23.5. DeForest Buckner got $21 million per. So that tells you Big Jeff's he's going to get more than those two guys.
Well, Mac Crosby's an outside pass rusher. But I would say Big Jeff's impact is just impactful as an inside guy.
All right, here's
what I'm getting at.
Value.
I don't even know if we're going to be able to sign him. Is what I'm getting at because there's a pattern of history of not paying him, and then this guy's going to be off the Richter scale on his pay, like what he should get.
T.J. Watt is the highest average value defense.
Right, I got that right.
I had to click on the right Spot Track. Yeah, $28 million and a little bit of change. $28 million and a little bit of change. Then you go all the way down to Joey Bosa is 27. Myles Garrett is 25.
Oh, outside guys.
Yep. Khalil Mack is 23.5. Max Crosby 23.5. Just to give you an idea. And Aaron Donald is 22.5, and we know that's about change.
Change, right. That's what I wanted.
Aaron Donald, 22.5.
So when he gets his raise, then where does that put Big Jeff? So whatever he signs for, let's say he signs, because he was the highest paid defensive player when he got that contract. Now he's not. So he probably wants to be the highest paid. So to me, Big Jeff is somewhere from, let's start on low end of 22, because that's what Aaron Donald is getting out of, to whatever's up above that.
T.J. Watt is 28. That's the number.
But see, all these are going to say that they're defensive ends.
Yep.
None of these guys are D tackles except for Aaron Donald. And so now that you're younger and have a lot more upside, I think the conversation is going to put you around 25. We're talking about even if you wait a year. I mean, because Aaron Donald's going to say he wants to be highest paid, so he may get touched the 30 mark.
It's not going to be a penny less than 25, is it? For Big Jeff. If they go, okay, all right. I mean, don't you start now with the hometown discount and go, hey, man, let's get it done now.
You start the conversation for
Yeah.
sure. I know they're going to say they got a lot of things on docket, the draft, free agency just kind of pretty much ended, but you're going to have another wave of free agency after the draft too as well.
Yep.
But so maybe that's when after the draft they start having conversations with Big Jeff and A.J. Brown, kind of just see what their agents are thinking, ballpark figure, what's the, per year deal or, first 3 years of the deal because they know they'll get that out of them and get high level pay and they'll get rewarded for it.
Jordan Dajani set to join us next. We can get into some of this stuff with him. Obviously, what's AJ worth? What's Big Jeff worth? What does he think about the Derek, almost a David Carr contract, but he's on TV now. Derek Carr, there's lots to get to. What's going on in Washington? We got a lot to discuss with our NFL correspondent from CBS Sports, Jordan Dajani, coming up next on Blaine and Mickey. Oh, now you're asking me talking heads questions. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Burning down the house.
I love this song.
Well, Tina Weymouth is a fantastic bass player. Her husband was a drummer. David Byrne, they met in art school. I believe it was the Rhode Island RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, or whatever it is. I believe that if you saw Wedding Crashers, that's where Todd wanted to go to school. If I'm not mistaken, that's where they met, was in art school.
Will that make you love me?
Oh, so you know it, huh?
Oh, Wedding Crashers? Oh, yeah.
It might be the funniest movie ever made. That movie, I can laugh, and I have to go to the very back of my house so I don't wake up my family if I watch it at night.
Yeah, not safe for kids if you're watching the not made for TV version.
The breakfast scene alone is worth the price of admission.
So what's the year?
I'm gonna guess because I know the song, but I'm not sure. 84.
Ooh, so close. 82.
Oh, dang it.
Still good.
Okay. I know. I haven't missed one in days. You just keep firing them at me. I knew I was going to get one.
Pretty good, though. You're right in the
I was
ballpark.
getting one wrong. Jordan Dajani joins us now. Jordan, do you have a favorite Talking Heads song?
No, I don't think so. What exactly is a Talking Head song?
Psycho Killer?
Yeah. Man, Take Me to the River, they covered that one. The bass player and the drummer formed Tom Tom Club, if you remember that band. That was a side project of the Talking Heads.
No, I did not know that. No,
Yeah.
I don't think I can give you a Talking Heads favorite song. You guys sound like more of the experts with this band than I am.
Well, Lucas just likes to ask me music questions about old music, so just so I can sound like a old guy talking about music. Is the music finally going to play for Dan Snyder? His parting music, his walk-off music, because now he's getting into the pockets of other owners, and I would think we're talking about some federal crimes at this point.
Yeah, we are talking about federal crimes. I mean, what kind of came out yesterday in the letter that was found by the Washington Post, coming from the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, giving it to the Federal Trade Commission, who has the authority to basically hand out punishment when it comes to some of these alleged crimes. It sounds big. And, starting large scope, I feel like over the past couple of years, we've always, whatever kind of controversies following Dan Snyder, we've always said, okay, this is going to be it. Okay, well, that didn't work, so maybe this controversy will finally unseat him. We haven't seen that come to fruition yet, but I feel like this one that we're talking about now, when it comes to basically defrauding the NFL in terms of hiding money and assets that should have been given to the league's pool and the 40% that's owed to them from ticket commission. They were hiding that in other events that were being held, or allegedly, I should say, being held at FedEx Field, such as other college football games and concerts and things like that. I didn't even know Washington, the franchise, had the power to, handle monies that happen with events that occur in their own facilities, which I thought was interesting. But when it comes to what this Washington franchise could be facing, it really does seem like it could be the death knell. I mean, this guy, Jason Friedman, who testified before the Oversight Committee, was with the Commanders for 24 years. So he has a good idea of what was going on inside that organization. And as you mentioned, when it comes to, owners basically hemorrhaging money and taking away from the dollars and cents that is rightfully owed to the NFL, that's something that would prick up the ears of some of the guys in that inner circle. So maybe, but it's definitely one of the more interesting stories of the offseason.
Boy, with a team that just can't get out of its own way. But, they did hire a teenage TikTok influencer today to handle their imaging. How about that? Yeah. I heard
Did someone let her know what she was getting into in terms of the organization and franchise that she just signed on with?
They hired like a teenage girl to be their TikTok influencer. Someone put out a video interview of her, and she said, I don't think people realize it's a lucrative business. And it was like a middle-aged news lady interviewing her, and she goes, well, what are we talking about? She said, I make $1 million a year on TikTok. I make $1 million a year.
And they hired her to do
just
something
like to
with the Commanders?
Spruce up their image.
No, this is what I call a huge distraction to what's really going on.
Yes.
To get everybody talking about the influencer on TikTok.
Yep.
Oh, my.
Yeah, Jordan Dajani, our guest, he is the influencer for CBS Sports.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And if you're waiting, we're all waiting and trying to figure out how he's going to present himself on TikTok. But in the meantime, in between time, since we're talking about organizations, Man, are the Dallas Cowboys going to regret that decision of keeping maybe just to say the coaching staff?
You know, we got to see how it kind of plays out before we get to that. But at the same time, the Dallas Cowboys have this reputation of disappointing when it comes to the expectations we set for this franchise before the regular season kicks off. And from what we saw last year, if that happens again here in the postseason, and I'm assuming that Dallas can probably win the NFC East yet again, then this is probably a conversation we're going to be having again this time next year. But, hey, Sean Payton is now going to be a free agent, and I think when he retired with the Saints, I think that was the free agent that all of us saw going to Dallas the next year, no matter how the season ends with them.
Yeah, I was just I saw the Emmitt Smith quotes. He's talking about consistency, mistakes, coaching decisions, just all around players not, knowing situational football. He just said it's frustrating when, you don't have that kind of consistency. You're not going to win on a consistent basis. So that's what brought to my mind about the Dallas Cowboys. But another one that just doesn't go away, kind of under the radar. Tell me how this was going to work. Brady and Arians, I'm sure they had some disagreements along the way, but this story on the side that nobody's talking about that existed last week, I would say, is, him going to the Dolphins and then being a part owner. I didn't know a player could be part owner as well, be on the team, and that they were going to facilitate a trade. How much do you know about if that was true or not?
So I haven't heard anything, and it sounds like the people reporting this story were almost the only people in the know. And to your point, I think it's the craziest story of the NFL offseason, and something you could probably devote 2 full segments to just in terms of what allegedly was about to go down with Tom Brady. It seems like he was kind of be a trailblazer or attempting to be at some level, right? To be someone who has a say in the front office, but also someone who was going to step back onto the field and play for the Dolphins at some point. That was kind of the plan they had in place. And it was interesting because Tom Brady would have technically been allowed to do this since he retired and then joined another franchise in their front office. He's not on the roster. He doesn't have an active contract with that. They don't need to trade him. But at a certain point, how many months, whether it was a year, I don't know, after Tom Brady was done and decided to come back and play for the organization he now held this new front office position with, then the Buccaneers would have had to trade his rights to the Miami Dolphins, and that would have been maybe an easier discussion as opposed to having that before Tom Brady had any kind of connection with the Miami Dolphins. So I had no idea it was a possibility. I don't know if we've ever come across something like this before, but it seems like it was a very interesting scheme that the two might have had an under-the-table handshake on. But, of course, that was completely derailed with the Brian Flores lawsuit.
Yeah. Man, so he could have done it. He could have forced Tampa Bay's hand then, is what you're telling me, if that happened.
That's the way I look at it. In
Wow.
the sense of Tom Brady, if he was holding a front office spot with the Dolphins, not playing football for the organization, but eventually, I don't know how much time could have passed or would have passed, whatever their plan was in their mind. If he wanted to go step back onto the field and play for that organization he's now connected with, that's when the Buccaneers would have had to have a discussion and trade his rights, his contractual rights, which I think are still tied to him if this entire scheme came to fruition. At that time, it would have been an easier discussion to trade his rights as opposed to doing it now on April.
Yeah, and maybe that's why then the Tyreek Hill deal happened, because that was the collateral they're going to use to give to Tampa Bay. Wow.
Maybe.
Man, well, what an incredible story there. Now, I know I've asked you about, Lamar Jackson, but, man, how long are we going to go here when you have your head coach who got an extension, now talking about we're just going to pray on it and there's some things that get done. And I just don't know if it's more about his health, and that they're not even having conversations, by the way, him or on his side or on their side, and even anything is going to get done. What do you think is going to happen with this situation? Is he going to be a Raven after this season?
I'm glad you brought this up because I think it's really interesting. And recently, John Harbaugh, it might have been today, he went on, I don't remember what show it was. It might have been the Rich Eisen show, but he discussed this Lamar Jackson situation, and I definitely stole some quotes from the interview that I found useful. I mean, he's saying that it's not a priority for Lamar Jackson right now, which is pretty shocking because it should be. And it doesn't have to be a priority in terms of this contract extension. It doesn't have to be a priority for the Ravens at this point because he's still under contract technically. It doesn't make much sense to me because players in these positions usually want that long-term security and, obviously the dollars and cents guaranteed. as soon as possible, right? Lock it in, especially if you're going to be a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who's going to reset the market in one or two different categories. But I think there also could be this underlying understanding that both sides want a deal done, and there's no reason to worry. But even to that point, something could happen tomorrow or next week or this upcoming season that changes everything. So I do think it's a little weird. I definitely didn't see this happening. If you asked me back in that draft class who was going to be the first quarterback to sign that new extension, it would have been Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen, in my opinion. So I think that Lamar Jackson is going to stay with the Ravens, but it really is interesting seeing how this whole thing is shaking out.
Man, I would have thought he would have got an extension before Derek Carr. I mean, what did you think of those numbers there?
Yeah.
Man, I was like, well, he's a good quarterback. I just don't put him in that elite level. I know timing's everything about your contract, but, man, I mean, they're saying, overall it's in the top five. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Now, he's kind of the middle of the road, 12 to 15 type quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't say that Derek Carr is elite, but I do think he is one of the better / good quarterbacks in the NFL. And I became convinced of that watching the Raiders this past season, especially the leadership that was forced upon him with all the crazy outside noise, interim head coach. I really like what Derek Carr did as a quarterback last year. I don't think he's a signal caller that necessarily steps up and takes over an entire game and can just get into shootouts and win that way. But at the same time, I think he's consistent. I think he's a good leader. I think he's experienced. And looking at his contract numbers, it might have been an easy deal for both sides. I mean, it's 3 years. It's nothing like a 5-year, 6-year deal for a younger quarterback. It's just a 3-year extension. The annual average value is $40.5 million per year with this extension, which, as you mentioned, ranks 5th among all quarterbacks. So I think that's a solid spot to be in if you're sold on your starting quarterback being the guy that can help elevate your franchise, especially with some of the pieces you're bringing in on both sides of the ball this offseason, a new head coach. There's reason for cautious optimism when it comes to this franchise. And they've clearly viewed their quarterback as a main reason that they've kind of been in the playoff mix or at least have some good stretches over the past few regular seasons. So I like Carr. It's only a 3-year extension. It puts him into that top 5 of AAB. But, I mean, like we talked about over the past few weeks, it's better he got this contract done now as opposed to Lamar Jackson going first, because maybe the numbers might have looked just a little bit different when it comes to that average per year.
All right, well, give me his rank just in his division in the AFC West. What is he in the West, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, I would probably take Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert over him, and I think that's fine to say because I think both quarterbacks could be argued to be top 5. I'd put him number 3 right now over Russell Wilson. I know that Russell Wilson is a guy that is expected to take this franchise and the Broncos to a new level, and I definitely agree with that. I see that coming, but I think he has to prove it as well. I mean, this is a change of scenery. It's not always something that rejuvenates an older quarterback. He didn't have an incredible season in 2021 due to that thumb/hand injury. So I think that the AFC West is the best division in football. And Derek Carr, as I mentioned, is not necessarily the elite guy, but he's been a leader for this franchise, and he's been good enough.
We're with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jordan, we had something tragic happen in the league, obviously, over the last few days. Dwayne Haskins' death, sad, tragic every way that it can be, but it also shined a light on the way things like that get reported. And I hope it reminded some of our media brothers out there that these are real people who are, somebody's son and husband and dad and friend. And I hope it changes the way that some people report things like this.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I saw the Adam Schefter tweet. I know he regrets it. And he understands, what was wrong with it, as do all of us as well. I feel like, I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like it's, you cover these guys as players, right? As people that you don't necessarily have personal relationships with. And sometimes I feel like that gets lost, that these are human beings and we kind of put their job performance over everything else. But obviously what Schefter did, was something that he considers very regrettable. But, man, I got to say, this Dwayne Haskins passing really hit me hard. I mean, just personally. You guys know I was on the Washington beat for 247 Sports a few years ago. When he was drafted, everyone was excited. I spent countless hours studying this guy's play, writing dozens and dozens of articles, because he basically took the form of a knight in shining armor that was going to turn the Washington franchise around. And, of course, while that didn't happen, He then found himself with a great organization in the Steelers and was growing up and maturing at 23, 24 years old. He was a one-year starter in college. He needed that time to be with an organization and learn. And, all those narratives you heard on ESPN and CBS Sports this past weekend were not manufactured. He was really on the right track, and he still had an incredible potential. Anytime a young man dies, it's obviously very tragic. But the story of Haskins and his football career was not close to being over. And we'll always be wondering what he could have done in fulfilling his dream that he was in the midst of living. So just terrible, man.
Yeah. I just want to ask this, though. What are the details of actually what happened to him? I just keep, me and Mickey yesterday, the day before, we just got, baffled. Like, we don't know anything besides he got hit on a freeway by a dump truck. I mean, like, is there any other, did the guy go over the curb or did he walk out there? I mean, we don't know anything.
Right. And that's something that we're all definitely eagerly awaiting in terms of the results of this investigation. I heard it could take up to 60 to even 90 days to complete it. And even after that, we probably won't get all the answers. What I've seen, and this is totally unconfirmed, and I don't know how much validity it is to it, but there's been, reports that he ran out of gas in his rental car. I think he was on the way to the airport. And then, obviously had to pull over. And after that, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure why he was trying to cross the freeway. But, I mean, just tragic. I think we'll all be really eagerly waiting to see, what exactly led up to this tragedy.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. All right, let's try to pivot to a happier subject. Draft coming up. I think I've convinced Blaine the Titans are taking offensive linemen. Just curious to get your thoughts as of today. You got to go to the betting window. You don't even have to say player, position. You think they're going to take at 26?
Yeah, if you had to put a line on the position, I think offensive line would be the heavy favorite, in my opinion, and I think it would be a good move. I don't know if we've talked about him on the show much, but I think one of my favorite players in the draft is Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa, a 6'7" guy who can play tackle. Obviously, Tennessee's not in need of a left tackle at this point in time, but Trevor Penning is a guy who could have more versatility than people are letting on. He's one of the nastiest players in the draft. And I get that taking a guy from a smaller school, there's definitely some question marks with that. But Trevor Penning is a guy I'm keeping an eye on. I think offensive line should be the position that Tennessee is most likely to take. But there's another guy I really like that I want to bring up, and that's Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Yeah. He's a guy that it's interesting because there's so many divided opinions. Some people only look at the testing numbers and they think that he's going to fall in the draft, but then there's other people who know football maybe a little bit better, who have watched the tape and see what this guy can bring to an offense. And there's going to be a team in that first round that says, I'm going to get this guy in, I'm going to use him like A.J. Brown on the outside, and I'm going to use him like Deebo Samuel maybe on the inside. So I think he's somebody who you might hear from different analysts that he's falling. I think he could be under the radar, kind of rising, maybe in that early 20s range.
I know a lot of Titans fans hope he's available at 26. They don't want to go with the offensive lineman. Jordan, fantastic stuff, man. At Jordan Dajani, people can follow you there. And, man, we'll just keep talking draft a little over, 2 weeks tomorrow. So we'll continue to lean into that, too, with your upcoming appearances. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. All right.
USFL.
When we come back, a little memory time for Blaine. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, 23 years ago. This is Your Life, Blaine Bishop, coming up next.
What the heck are y'all doing?
1999.
I could feel my feet moving in my chair. Ooh,
April 13th.
April 13th in 1999. What was going on then? April 13th, 1999 with B Bizzle for Shizzle.
23 years ago. What was Blaine Bishop doing? So this is.
I have no idea.
Like
Do you know what you were doing?
Heck no.
You were playing in the band?
Oh, 100%. I was playing some music. 100% my day involved music that day. I had a bass in my hand at some point that day. I can promise.
You act like you got it right there on your phone.
Oh, I got it right here on my phone. You even retweeted this. This is how I caught it.
Oh, that good.
April 13th, 1999. Eddie George, Frank Wycheck, Craig Hendrick, and one Blaine Bishop showed off and modeled the new Titans uniforms for the very first time to fans. I remember that day.
That was an awesome day.
I wanted to go. If something happened, I didn't get to go down, but here's pictures. Yeah. So Eddie wearing the all-white version of the uniform, you and Frank wearing the blue pants and a white jersey. And it's funny because you guys didn't wear all blue, but Craig Hendrick is wearing the blue jersey and the blue pants. Yeah. And that's something that didn't happen until that's the look that the players all like the most is all dark blue.
Except me. And you know what? That's probably why I like that color that I am wearing is because that was the one that I like because I probably modeled it in the unveiling of the jerseys there. So now the jerseys now are throwbacks.
100% and a white helmet.
Yeah. So it was great being a part of that one as well as then transferring to the new jerseys to the new guys. So that was a pretty cool experience. Just being a part of that was pretty awesome downtown on Broadway.
I remember that day. Because remember, there were votes and people were trying to name the team and pick a name like Copperheads and Tornadoes and everything else was considered. And whoever came up with Titans, I don't even know if people knew, like, okay, because the mascots are raccoon, it's T-Rac. People were like, okay, what's a Titan? It's some kind of mythical thing. But it just sounded so good. Tennessee Titans.
Well, there's some history there with the Pantheon or something like that?
Parthenon.
Yeah. Parthenon, I'm sorry. Mispronounced it. But yeah, so I think that, and so I'm glad you brought this up because I thought about this and I saw it somewhere on social media, but I can't remember who said something about it. And that is, the new stadium should be formed like a Parthenon and have all the big beams and all those different things. Look, you're getting chill bumps over there. Yeah, it would sound like an incredible. And I'm so sorry I cannot remember because it was probably when we were talking about the new stadium, probably what was about 3 weeks ago or so.
I got chicken
and I
skin.
saw it and I was like, oh, that. I think I even retweeted it because I thought that was magic. Dude. That was that fit so perfectly. Because you want to have meaning behind it, and no one would have anything like that in the National Football League. You want to set yourself apart on the stadium. That is how you do it.
Could you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them look like Jerry World looks like a spaceship. It does. Mm-hmm. And I guess where the Vikings play, maybe it kind of close. I don't know. Maybe it resembles a boat a little bit. There's a lot of glass on that.
What does the LA one look like?
I've never seen anything like that.
I don't know, man.
I can't even describe it. And you and me have only seen videos and pictures. We both want to go out there, but we haven't bribed the right people yet to get sent out there. But we'll work on that. But the idea that it had this theme like that
mythical, Man, Lucas, I'm waiting to hear. I see you back there.
His wheels are turning.
I'm fully in on that. Even Coliseum, even just bringing back the
Coliseum. It has to be
called
the Coliseum.
Yeah. Like that right there. Be one. Adelphia Coliseum is one of the coolest names for an NFL stadium I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And so, even if Nissan's like, okay, we'll take the reins on this, at that point it has to become Nissan Coliseum.
Sure.
Or
why not?
The Coliseum presented by Nissan. However you do it, Coliseum. The Titans need to play in a bleeping Coliseum.
Yeah.
I do remember this. And Lucas, you were a baby, so you wouldn't remember. You were toddling around. You probably ate a cup of Cheerios that day.
In 99? Yeah, do whatever 4-year-olds do.
Out of a Ziploc baggie.
You were 4 years old.
But I'm just telling you, we all wondered, what's this going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, nobody really knew. This wasn't in the days where something got leaked on Twitter. This was like, no, you didn't see it till it got unveiled and then was in the newspaper the next day.
Yeah, that's right. He said that in 1999 there was no Twitter.
So all you kids who get to see everything in real time, like the Titans jersey. Remember, somebody leaked a picture of it from like the Nike factory, and the lighting was bad. So that's exactly what it turned out to be. The dark blue jersey. Somebody leaked it. You didn't leak nothing in those days. There was no place to leak stuff. And I remember not being able to go and just being so PO'd about it. And the next day, I went and bought a paper, and it was that picture of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the different thing about those jerseys was how the stripes were on the shoulders, the way they did. Nobody's uniforms looked like the Titans uniforms. They were real different.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing like them. And we all saw the flame ball on the helmet, which we didn't know what's a Titan. What's the helmet going to look like? And I remember, man, just looking at those pictures. What did it feel like putting that uniform on for the first time?
I think the word for me would have been, now we're home.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Now we're home.
Got a stadium, got a uniform. It was on then.
Hey, now it's about to get lit.
It got lit. Undefeated at home the next year.
Oh, yeah, there was no way.
All the way to the Super Bowl.
And it was rocking. And it reminded me of when they played here last year in the playoffs. But that was like how it was every game.
Every game.
By the way. But they ratcheted that thing up in the playoffs there. That thing was, it was special. It gave me chill bumps just feeling the crowd out there and how loud they were. And it was primed. I think that's why it hurts JR and everybody involved in the organization so much, because it was right there. Be tough to beat them. They got one more shot.
Got to get bands together at least one more year. About to add some people to the band coming up 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow, NFL draft starts. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wait till that draft come here and we got that Parthenon Stadium, Coliseum.
Bring it on. Just got to figure out how to pay for it.
In between time.
Peace.